G'day gardeners, welcome along to the vlog. It's the last week of September here. We're almost into October. The garden is looking really good. And today it looks like we're going to finally get some rain, which is great because I only just ran out of water in our water tank this morning. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Okay gardeners, I'll start over here as I always do. At garlic, yep, it's done. Just waiting for all those, the rest of those stems to start dropping down. And we'll start harvesting that out. Obviously I've just given up on it. I'll try again next year and I'll do better next year. Probably do better bed prep and look at how I can improve my crop for next year. So we'll just count that as a loss this year and plan for next year. Potato onions looking really good. You can see the tops are starting to brown off. And that's a sign that they're getting ready to be harvested. So I'm going to be harvesting those ones soon. Flowers in pots looking good. Everything over there is doing pretty well, keeping the water up to them. It's been pretty dry here. Hops are growing well down there, that little hop plant, you can see that one just there. That's surviving. Hopefully, I'm not going to get any hops off that one this season, I don't think. At the moment, I'm just trying to grow it up into a usable rhizome for next season. So that's where we're going to be for that one. Moving over to this bed, this potato is doing really well. This is actually just a commercial potato we got out of the cupboard that had eyes on it. So we bought that from Coles, and that's growing really well. It's a really healthy plant. I'm not sure why, but it's a lot different to my other. Oh look, there's a little jumping spider. It's a lot different to my other potatoes, which I'll show you quickly. These are Dutch creams, and just a different looking potato. And I would say this is probably would look like more like an heirloom variety, which it is. Kind of more moderate looking growth, whereas this one has really strong pronounced growth. So interesting to see how that one will grow. And I've got another bug in there that looks like a one of those citrus bugs. Anyway, moving along, leeks are doing well. They're getting nice and tall now. That one at the back there, I'll be getting that soon. They're fattening up nicely. Probably be harvesting those in 4 to 6 weeks. Golden potted peas at the back doing well. We've actually got some flowers on those, as you can see. They have a really nice purple flower which slowly turns blue. And the pea pods are gold, hence the name golden potted peas. At the back there we've got just a couple of spring onions growing in there. Beetroots. Our sage is flowering. And we've got a couple more rows of beetroots there. And the beetroots coming along really nicely now, which is good. Onions are looking good. Not much progress there. They're just slowly fattening up. And hopefully soon they start producing some bulbs. But they're about 2 feet tall now. So looking really healthy. Really happy with the onions this year. I'm going to have plenty of them hopefully. So that'll be great. Over in this bed, I've got planted here 4 cabbages, as you can see. Now, I really shouldn't plant cabbages in our garden this time of year unless I'm planning on keeping the garden completely covered all the time because of the moth. The moths are terrible, so it's probably the worst pest we have in this garden. And hence you can see I've got these moth deterrent things, which really don't work that well, I don't think. But they do something. So I've already gone around and killed some baby larvae on them. I just haven't covered them yet, so I'm trying to work out how I'm going to cover them, because I'm not a real big fan of beds that are covered up all the time. I like to be able to see the garden. I know it's not practical though, especially when you've got pest pressure from moths, or flies or anything like that, birds, whatever. It's not really practical if you've got pest pressure. So just trying to work out a way that I can to cover those individually perhaps until they get bigger, and then can handle the moths better. So making something up myself, I think. So at the back of that bed, you can see our peas there. Our peas are doing really well this year. So we've got peas growing in this bed, on this trellis that I built. And we've also got peas growing in this bin. And every year I grow peas in the bins. I use them for peas and for sweet potatoes. They're nice big 80 litre bins, I think, from memory. 80 or 100 litre bins. So nice size bin. It's actually not a huge amount of soil in the bin. You don't really need much for peas. And what I plan to do with this particular bin is once the peas are done, cut the stems, I'll drop a sweet potato in and then cover it up, and hopefully at the end of the season we'll have this bin full of sweet potatoes, which will be nice. Did that 2 years ago and got a really nice harvest, so looking forward to that. But the peas themselves, very nice. They're fattening up really nicely, and there is dozens and dozens and dozens of peas on these. And even over here you can see there's, if I come right in, you can actually see there's just dozens of them, and the pods are really starting to fatten up nicely now. The first part of harvest though is always difficult because you'll have probably a dozen pods like this that get really fat quickly, and then you'll have a whole bunch that take their time and fatten up later on, so that your first harvest is a little bit small, and as you go the harvests get bigger and bigger and bigger. So I'm thinking about just freezing them, so picking them and dropping them in a Ziploc bag and dropping that in the freezer and just filling that periodically, so I can have a store of peas and not have to cook like just a small amount in the start. So, and that way I can kind of save them up. So a lot of these ones, for example, catch up. Mind you though, I've got a lot of coming on. Look at that one there, that's nice and fat. That's some good peas in that one. Oh, and there's some there too. Really healthy this year. Really good. And all I did with this bed to prepare it was I cow manured this entire bed, because this was actually hard clay. So where we are here is really tough clay. And this had probably about 1 centimetre or 2 centimetres tops, probably only 1 centimetre really, of usable soil on top from just compost that we put down of our own compost and a little bit of cow manure. But I really bulked it up with cow manure, and also put in this bed a lot of gypsum, and mixed a lot of gypsum in. And now we've got, the soil is much better now. We've got a decent layer of soil on top, and the gypsum I think is actually breaking the clay down. I think it's actually doing what they say it does. And I do believe that gypsum helps peas and onions. I think those two crops do benefit from adding gypsum to your soil. I'm not 100% sure, and I know people have called it in the past a soil sweetener, and I'm not 100% sure what they mean by soil sweetener. I think because clay soil is acidic, I suppose adding that changes the pH, so I guess that's what they mean by sweetening. But that's what we did with this bed, and they look fabulous. The ones in the pots, all they got was our compost, our homegrown compost, and they look fabulous as well. So probably something to say about our homegrown compost. And we don't practice any particular method of composting. We just literally practice that if you've got it, you chuck it in. So our method is, if you've got stuff to put in the compost, you chuck it in. You just don't wait. And lately we've had our grass coming back, so I've been able to throw a bit of grass clippings on top. For the most part, over winter, this is just spent brewery grains, vegetables, fruit, all the green stuff like from our kitchen, apart from meat, and all our paper waste. Oh, look at that, there's a bone in there. Okay, someone's put that in the wrong bin. I've got to take that out. Shouldn't have those in there. That's a bit naughty. Yeah, they attract the rodents and things, so we don't want that. We've had rodents in our yard before. But yeah, pizza boxes, cardboard, stuff like that. Every autumn it gets filled with leaves, which break down. So it's just, I don't know, is it seasonal composting? I don't know what you call it, but it's just composting when you've got your stuff. You just chuck it in. I don't store things up and keep them. I just chuck them in and just let them break down naturally, which means throughout winter the compost gets quite cold, and it turns more into a worm farm. But as soon as spring comes, we start putting grass in. That grass gets really hot when it breaks down, and it turns back into a hot pit. Again, the worms move back down into the soil, and that grass really cooks the top and starts composting things down. And then as it cools over autumn and the grass stops going in, the worms come back up and finish it off. So the worms just go up and down. I've never really had a problem, and we've got compost worms in there now which have been spread in there from our other compost bins, and they just seem to work it out themselves. So all good there. Potatoes doing okay. Our potatoes are doing okay. These Dutch creams which I showed you before, they're quite healthy. They look quite healthy. I've got one more coming up just there, which is good. Going to have a staggered potato crop this year, obviously. I'm still shitting potatoes to grow this year, so we're going to have a staggered crop. My hop plants, our hops, these are an old diploid variety hop, which I'm growing. They're coming up really nice. This is a modern cultivar. Beautiful. And you can see they look like something you might have recognised before that's kind of legal in most places. And that's because they're cousins of that particular other thing, which I can't mention because I don't want to get this video knocked down. Okay, moving along. This bed, really happy with this bed this year. These are our lettuces, our little gems. I remembered it. Little gems, doing really well. We'll be eating these very, very soon. I'm going to start harvesting these, give them to friends and family. I can't wait to make a Caesar salad. This is the first one that's going to come out, this beauty here. That's going to make an awesome Caesar salad. Can't wait for that. Our carrots doing really well. There's nothing like our spring carrots are the best. I love spring carrots. You sow the seeds in here. We sow the seeds in July, and sort of kind of mid-July, when it's cooler and it stays damp more. Always get pretty good germination rates with good seeds. And this year, they look fantastic, really healthy. And this bed was just prepped with, again, our homegrown compost, store-bought cow manure, as well as applications of potash, blood and bone, and the other one, which I can never remember, so potassium, phosphorus, and blood and bone. And I mix that in a ratio. I think I usually do about a ratio of 5 parts blood and bone, 2 parts potassium, and 1 part of the phosphorus. And it's doing really well. Over here we got the corn is coming through now, and you can see the little corn popping up everywhere. Doing really well. I've had no problem with slugs. I think primarily because there's nowhere for slugs to hide. So as of yet, I haven't seen any of these being chewed off, which is what I want to see. Oh, we got activity though. It's probably the cat. Nothing. I'm looking, and I can't see any of them that have been chewed off by slugs, which is excellent. These lettuces are doing okay, and I want to talk about these. This damage here. A lot of these lettuces got damage on the sides, and initially I thought they were caterpillars, and I looked and couldn't find any. So I thought maybe they're slugs, but there was no slug trails. But funnily enough, I saw the blackbirds in our garden over in this bed, so I started watching them, and I've realised that the blackbirds, the introduced blackbirds, are coming into our garden and eating our lettuces. Now I suspect they're eating our lettuces for the water content. We had issues with them last year eating our grapes, which I also suspect was because of the water content of grapes. I don't think they're actually after grapes themselves, so I don't think they need fruit, put it that way. So I think they're coming in and eating, because they're only targeting this lettuce. So I think they're targeting this lettuce because it's juicy and it's full of water. So I'm going to have to do something about that, because the blackbirds, I can't get rid of them. They just come and go. And they're very clever. They wait till you're not in the garden and they come down and they target your plants when you're not there. So, and they watch. The male will sit in the tree and he'll watch me. And as soon as he's gone, he'll call out and the females will all come down and start attacking the garden. So they're very clever. So I think I'm going to have to put a bird bath in. Something just to give them water to deter them from attacking the plants. So moving on, sunflowers are looking really good. These ones are great. The tallest ones now are about 1 foot high. And by the end of October, they should be over 1 metre and starting to flower. Really nice, looking forward to that. Fig tree's doing well, no progress there. Olive's doing really well, no progress there. Hopefully we can get some olives off this year. Moving over to our herb bed, these sunflowers are fantastic. So these sunflowers are already over 1 metre tall now. And no sign yet of a flower head, but that'll be soon, I think. But they're getting pretty tall, which is really good. Love sunflowers in the garden. They just look fantastic. Love them. All our other flowers here are doing really well. I'm pretty sure these are cosmos. This stuff, oh, I hate this stuff. Got to get rid of it. I'm going to have to cut these leaves back because they're just strangling everything else out. don't ever put it in your garden comfrey if you don't want it to be there after a while. You just can't get rid of it. You have to dig all the roots out, which is a pain. Marjoram, mint, herbs looking good. Basil, lettuce is growing like crazy again. And the oregano, remembered it, doing well. Okay, let's go in the greenhouse. Lastly, we'll have a quick look in the greenhouse. Things are going really well now, so I've already started pulling out some of these cells, these peppers, and I pulled out 2 of the cucumbers and I've already replanted them. Potted them up, sorry. So over here we've got the 2 cucumbers, sorry, potted up. And you can see I've already spread out these peppers in different pots to grow them up. I've been periodically just spraying them with a little bit of fish emulsion mixed in water. I use that in a sprayer. And everything in here is looking really good. Tomatoes looking great. Our tigrellas, our San Marzanos doing really well. Tomatoes over here looking really healthy, looking really nice. Growing well, getting enough light. Not growing too tall, looking nice and green and lush. They'll be going in the garden soon. Nice healthy tomatoes starts. Looking forward to that. And little strawberries I salvaged, you can see, are starting to grow. Little growths coming in on them, which is exciting. They're coming back really nicely. So, yep, that one's got a little growth just in there. So they're coming back really nicely. I want to leave these in here over probably indefinitely, I guess. Pull that little tomato seedling out. Yeah, because I mean, if you get strawberries, if I can get strawberries growing over and strawberries hanging down, that's going to look fantastic. And it's going to be safe from birds. And in the hot weather, when it gets too hot for the greenhouse to act as a greenhouse, I'll just keep the door up and I'll get some net and hang some net down over the front instead. Just hang some netting down there and maybe just peg it on so I can go in there with some netting and it stays cool during the summer period. Doesn't overheat the plants. So there you have it, gardeners. That's our garden last week of September. In a couple of days it'll be October, and looking forward to the middle of spring. Things are really growing on well, and we can actually start harvesting some food from our spring garden real soon. And as you can see in the background, there's rain coming, which is really good. We actually ran out of tank dry this morning, so looking forward to our tank filling up again this week, because this is the first substantial rain we've had for probably 6 to 8 weeks. It's been a very dry end of winter and start of spring period for us here this year. So even though the weather is supposed to be wetter, they're talking about another La Nina again. It's quite typical after we've had a La Nina, which we had last year, for us to have a dry period, especially through winter, which we've had this year. So hopefully a return again to a warm and a wet spring, hopefully not too many really hot days, so the garden can keep producing well and consistently throughout the middle and end of spring for us. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for joining me on this vlog again today, and I hope you join me again next week when I bring you the first October edition of this vlog. Until then, see you next time, gardeners.